Today on Listen Up, urban poverty. More than half the world's population lives in cities or towns, and many live in poverty. What's being done? Next. Welcome to Listen Up, news that takes you deeper. I'm Lorna Dueck. What does urban poverty look like today? Numbers tell the story. Almost 3.5 million people live in poverty in this country. In the light of ongoing economic crisis, it's likely things will only get worse. As news analysis delivered from a Christian perspective, we ask, what are some of the root causes of this problem? What's being done to address the issue? Today, we focus our lens on those questions. Later in the show, we'll meet some people working in the trenches with their answers to the needs of the urban poor. But first, the Salvation Army conducted a study that surveyed hundreds of men facing extreme poverty. What did they learn? It's research gathered from the 6,000 beds that the Salvation Army provides to homeless people each night.
People have various issues that they deal with, various reasons why they are experiencing homelessness, and as a result of them experiencing and destabilizing and becoming homeless, there needs to be some supports in place in order to help them stabilize and help them move from where they are in our shelter system into more of a stable environment and back into the community. So it's really comes down to those three things: housing, income, and social supports.
Experts at Crisis Care and Canada's largest non-government provider, they've learned that stability for homeless people is the starting point to improving their lives. Later in the program, we'll hear from this man. He survived through shelter beds. He's now a volunteer for the homeless. What did it take for Bill Salmon to rebuild his life? You won't want to miss his life story, from high-rolling executive to homeless, to now being part of the hundreds of volunteers who work at the Good Shepherd shelter in Toronto. They serve over 1,000 meals a day to people who've lost the most fundamental source of strength that kept them off the streets.
Most of them don't have family that they can fall back on.
No family. It's a complicated issue and a root cause of homelessness. Addictions and mental health breakdowns often alienate the poorest of the urban poor from those who once loved them.
Some of them are just living on old age pension. Some are on welfare. Some are on disability.
Social workers here in Canada's largest city are learning another root cause of homelessness. Tens of thousands of teenagers in state care are being turned over to their independence too early.
So you have to find a place to live. Nobody's got a hope chest for you. Nobody's got extra kitchen chairs. Nobody's gifted you the towels or stuff that family does. And there isn't a network of people around to help you find the apartment. And there sure as heck isn't a lot of people there the first night. So you go, you leave, you turn 18. So your birthday actually becomes the worst day of your life in some cases because you lose your family. You go into your apartment. And that night you kind of lay in a bed. And I'm sure you look up at a ceiling and you wonder, what's going to happen? Because you're truly alone.
Creating permanency, community, and belonging is at the core of taking care of the urban poor. Creating security long enough so people's steps can be diverted away from poverty.
Replacing slums with modern housing costs money, but so do the crime and disease which breed in slums. The old squalid houses were being torn down. New buildings began to rise in place of the old slums. Thrifty Toronto expects Regent Park to pay off in hard cash saved and better citizens.
It's my time to come when it goes down and die young with the good ones. They call us thugs and hoodlums. Word to the streets like the Quran to Muslims. When it's war, we all ride, the whole hood comes. The sky slopes when high hopes.
Point Blank is a group of brothers from a family of 10 children who grew up in Canada's largest ghetto. Family, not money, launched them. Community, not cash, cared for them.
Regent Park was always good to me. Like, I always had activities to do, and it was always a fun place growing up. We got a lot of good elder people in the ghetto that taught us how to be the men we are today. There was times in our life where it was down, and we had to struggle a lot, and a lot of violence.
What has it taught you? What do you think you've learned at Regent Park?
I think I learned that life is hard, and it can be better. It could be a beautiful place, and you just got to keep working, and you got to believe in yourself, and just keep trying.
And what will be the keys to breaking out of the poverty?
Don't let nothing hold you down, you know what I mean? Just always believe in yourself, love your family, love yourself, and believe in God.
Where these rappers grew up in Regent Park, the average income is half that of other families in Toronto. The unemployment rate is nearly 50%, challenging realities that don't stop the poor from being community. You've been here 31 years, Elsaida.
Yes, and I'm proud to be a Regent Park resident.
Why?
I just love Regent Park. I don't care what they say about Regent Park. And the train, at work, they talk about Regent Park. I just step on their toes because Regent Park is my home.
Elsaida and her husband raised 8 children while they both worked in factory and kitchen jobs. Their rent was geared to income. Her children all left Regent Park to find jobs elsewhere, all except Claremont. He died in a shooting. She built this garden to remember him and other victims of poverty's violence in Regent Park. Now in Regent Park, another experiment is underway, neighborhood renewal.
When we were kids, we had a lot of things to do. Like, there was swimming, basketball, baseball, hockey. Like, we had so many activities that we didn't have time to just hang around and just loaf. Nowadays, a lot of kids are doing that, so that might need fixing.
But renewal is coming in a different wave. New condos so middle-class families can move in and upgrade the area.
There have been 3 major waves of urbanism. The first one was at the end of the 19th century. The second wave of urbanization started after the Second World War. The third wave of urbanization started in the sort of late 80s, 90s. We're into that now. It's the same process. You get the condos and people moving back downtown. They want to live here, they want to raise their kids, they want to play here, they want to invest their money. And whereas in the second wave, we kind of, in a sense, ran away from the poor, now we're basically just displacing them because we're now moving down those areas that we're housing. And we're gentrifying. We want to live down there. We want land. The cities are broke. They need the money generated by property taxes. Politicians can't or won't say no to the developers. In Toronto, particularly, of all major North American cities, some of the things that are in place, such as rent decontrols, inclusionary zoning for the poor, those don't exist in Toronto. Toronto is literally for sale.
And while it is, it's the church that wants to work on selling some new attitudes. Major Ryan is part of a think tank on how to blend rich and poor neighborhoods. Renewal that changes more than just real estate. It blends lives, values, and the future. And when we return, Listen Up hits the street to meet with some of the people putting a wealth of care and wisdom into poverty's battle. That's next.